Your next speaker, Zohra+Sarwari, has appeared on NBC News and Fox, and she's been interviewed on countless radio programs as an expert in Muslim culture in America. She's the author of 13 books. She's traveled this country extensively, bridging the cultural gap between Muslims and their fellow Americans. At a time when we desperately need to know more about our Middle Eastern neighbors, Zohra's words are truly inspirational. Represented by Autumn Moon, please welcome Zohra+Sarwari.
How's everybody doing today? When I stepped here on stage today, what did you guys think to yourself? Did you guys think great? Al-Qaeda's going to be at co-op? Or how about, I wonder if she's a terrorist? Some of you guys thinking Halloween's over, why she's still in her costume? And I know what you ladies are thinking. Fashion police, we need a makeover. Well, Al-Qaeda's not here. And according to the experts, I can't be a terrorist because I'm too oppressed to be a terrorist. However, if any of you guys have kids, you know, we're more like, subjected to them. And if you see me on the news, it'll be because my kids don't want to eat their vegetables, not because of religion or politics. And as far as this being a costume, this is actually a way for me to express my First Amendment right, which is freedom of religion. And for all you ladies, I just want you to know, vote 2014, here I come. Yeah, right? All right, so today I'm going to go over 3 points with you guys. I'm going to go over what is terrorism, what does Islam really mean, and why do Muslim women dress the way that they do when it's 110 degrees in the summer? Are they crazy? Why? So I'm going to go over these 3 points. What is terrorism? Terrorism is when an individual decides to inflict terror or pain upon another individual. That is a definition of terrorism. When an individual decides to get up, whether that is domestic violence, rape, burglary, murder, the moment someone decides to incite terror and fear to someone else's heart and change their life, they've committed an act of terrorism. So I want you to look at this picture really quick. It says, a man decided to sit in this plane, was very angry at IRS, decided to sit in the plane, and he decided to go and crash his plane into an IRS building. He didn't care how many people were killed, he didn't care if there was innocent people, if there were children, he didn't care about his victims. He was angry, and he was ready to take it out. When I found out, the first thing I said, please let it not be a Muslim. Well, he wasn't a Muslim. He wasn't a Muslim. He was a white Catholic man. Did he commit an act of terrorism? Would you all agree with me he committed an act of terrorism? Yes. Then how come we don't know what he had for dinner, how many children he has, where his wife is, or anything else about him? How come? How come when a Muslim commits an act of terrorism, or any heinous acts, like the Boston bombings, how come we know everything about him and his brother and his mother in Russia and his cousins and his uncles? We know everything. Am I right? I know I was on Yahoo News. I was like, oh, what? That's his cousin? Wow, and his mom did this 5 years ago? And his grandpa did that? How come we don't get that same treatment for every terror that's out there? Why is it just the Muslims that are looked upon that way? I want you guys to really think about that. So what this means to you is that terrorism is happening all around us. There's no age, religion, gender. None of it's separated. Anyone can do it at any time. And I include age because unfortunately nowadays we have younger and younger terrorists, include kids, doing crazy things to kids. And there's no age to it. So I want you guys to remember that. So the next time you guys see something horrible happening, remember what it means, what it really means. Alright, so I'm going to go over point number 2. What is Islam? According to the Washington Post ABC News poll, this was a few years back, 55% of Americans lack a good basic understanding of the Muslim faith. Because of that high number, nearly 48% of Americans hate us. That's a big number! Well, the statistics have actually gone higher. It's now almost 60% of Americans hate us. That's more than half of our country. That's more than half of your campuses. I mean, I looked out the window and I was like, that's all my neighbors! And I figured the neighbors that don't open their door when I take food, they probably don't like me. I thought they just were, afraid of me, but maybe that fear and I took some food and I take my kids so that they don't get scared. No, we don't want it. Like, okay, I just want to introduce myself. I'm next door. They're like, let's not do that. So now what does Islam really mean? What does the word mean? Because people are so freaked out, they're so scared, they're so worried. All Islam means is peace and obedience to the Creator and His creation. The creation being humans, animals, trees, peace and obedience. Doesn't mean to kill people. Doesn't mean to go out there and murder people. And definitely doesn't mean that we want to take over the country, okay? I can't even take over my own home. We got a country. They're here to take over our country and make us like them. I'm like, what? Are you kidding? We just want to work and put food on the table, take care of our homes. So really, really try to understand that, because the media has a sharp way of twisting things, and unfortunately the television and the movies, it's like they dramatize things. They're like, who does that? I've never seen someone do that. So just be aware of that. So what does it mean, the word Muslim? What does it mean to be a Muslim? It's just someone who submits him or herself to God. So God tells me, don't drink alcohol. I submit. He says, don't gamble. I submit. He says, don't go committing fornication. I submit. That's all it means, submitting to the will of God. It doesn't mean anything crazy, no code piece words, no strange things in between. Just someone who submits to what God has asked them to do. That's it. So what this means to you is that Islam is a religion of peace, and that if you really want to understand it, then you have to find it from sources that are going to teach the truth, not from the myths that's out there and from what the media is portraying. It's very important. I mean, if I wanted to go and judge Christianity, I wouldn't look at what Hitler did. Yeah, I wouldn't, because that wouldn't be right? So I want you guys to be able to do the same thing. So I'm going to go over point number 3. Why do Muslim women dress the way they do? I want you guys to help me out here. Please raise your hand if you think it's because their men tell them to wear it. Anybody? Okay. How about because they want to be modest? How about because it's their tradition? And how about D? Anything else? Okay, well, I'll give you the answer in just a minute. Sorry. It's prayer time. Alright. Who is Marwa? Marwa is a normal mom who took her 2-year-old son to the playground for children. She went there having a great day, and all of a sudden, a 3-year-old and 2-year-old start fighting over the swing. We know how kids can be, right? And so Marwa went to try to solve the situation when the uncle of the 3-year-old comes over and starts cursing at her, calling her a slut, a terrorist, an Islamist, an extremist. And he continued to do this until the police came. How long does that usually take? Other parents tried to intervene at the playground for children, but the guy didn't care. Why? Simply because she had a headscarf on? And this is in the West, where we're supposed to be civilized, and where we're supposed to be educated, and where we're supposed to be tolerant. So I want you guys to think about that. So let's go to the First Amendment right. Before I talk about this, I really want you guys to know I do travel around the world. And I've been to Singapore and South Africa and Malaysia and all sorts of places. And I want you guys to really understand we are very blessed to be in a country with so much freedom. And if you guys don't agree with me, then please travel. Because I've been over there. I was afraid I was going to get a ticket in Singapore for a gun. It's like, hide my gun in my purse! Because that's crazy all over the world. There's different rules, different regulations, and you should be aware of that. So we're very blessed. However, do we really have freedom of religion? And as Barack Obama said. And in the year 2009, he said in his speech that America has this, and that's why the United States government has gone to court to protect the rights of women and girls to wear the hijab. Well, let's test that. Do we really have that right? Can we really dress this way, as President Barack Obama said, or is there more to it? Did you know that in Nebraska, a school teacher could get 30 days in jail because she wore a headscarf while she was teaching? In Oregon, there's an entire school district who banned their teachers, and they could not wear headscarves to school to teach. And in Michigan and Georgia, a Muslim woman cannot go represent herself in court with her headscarf on. So, do we really have this? So, I'm going to answer why we wear the headscarf. The only reason we wear the headscarf is because God has asked us to do it, and we obey. I submit. Not because of anything else. That's our thing. So, with that being said, what this means to you is that all of us need to unite, to understand, to be tolerant, and so that we can have our First Amendment right be met for everyone. So let me go back to Marwa's story real quick. Marwa took the guy to court. The judge ordered him to pay 330 euros. He refused. Took him back to court. The judge said pay 780 euros. He refused, and he said people like her are not human. They could not be insulted. Oh. She went, testified, got off the stand. As she got off the stand, the guy took a 17-inch knife, started stabbing her. Oh. As he's stabbing, there's 8 people in the courtroom. The husband goes to They call out for help. No one's helping, but they call out for help. A police officer comes from another room and shoots the husband, thinking the husband's the bad guy. Marwa died that day after 17 stabs, pregnant with her second child. Her husband went into a coma after 16 stabs and a shot, in his leg, and her son not only witnessed it, but he got hurt in the process. And nobody helped. Why? Just because she had a head scarf on? Marwa was a pharmacist. Her husband's an engineer. What do the community lose? So I pray that I've gone over the 3 points with you guys. What is terrorism? What does Islam really mean? Why do we dress the way that we do? Like Michael Jackson said, if you want to make this world a better place, to take a look at yourself and make a change. Everyone has mentioned you guys are all leaders. Thank you.